Good day to you. Today we'll be having a webinar entitled Youth International Tour 3.0, organized by the Secretariat of Academic Tan College University Putra, Malaysia. Before we begin, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate and thank everyone who attends this webinar. For information, we'll have this program streaming live on Tan College YouTube channel. To those who have not yet supported this channel, please push the like button and subscribe to this channel. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, here are some gentle reminders. First, please stay tuned until the end of this program. Second, please be ready with your phone throughout the program to scan the attendance QR code. Please take note that the program password, which is required in the attendance form, will be displayed twice at any time. Thank you. Now we will display the program password. Please take note of that. A very welcome to Yang Berusaha Mr. Munzar Muhammad Qasim Al-Qasari, alumni of Yarmouk University. Yang Berusaha Mr. Ishad Hadi Fahan bin Arizal, student of University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Yang Berusaha Professor Madya and Senior Dr. Runani Bintu Abdul Aziz, Principal of Tan College, College Management Team, Fellows of Tan College, and all participants. Welcome to the webinar, Youth International Tour 3.0, live on the YouTube channel of Tan College. Ladies and gentlemen, the focus of this program is to address the challenges faced by the students when they study in foreign countries and to share information on how cultural diversity in the foreign country leads to the students' academic and non-academic achievements. At the end of this sharing session, we hope our participants will be able to appreciate the involvement of multicultural education in helping us to achieve academic success. Besides, it is hoped that students could get useful tips and information from the speaker's experience on relationship and environment. There will be a Q&A session at the end of today's webinar. To those who are in doubt, please feel free to drop your question in the comment section. Before we proceed, I would like to give a brief introduction of our panels today. First, we'll have our first panel, Mr. Munzar Muhammad Qasim Al-Qasari. Mr. Munzar is from Jordan. He's doing PhD in Educational Technology at UPM and was a teacher for 3 years in UAE. In addition, he has finished his bachelor degree and master's degree in Jordan. He joined many voluntary associations in Jordan and received some certificates in leadership, education, and innovation. Second, we'll have Mr. Ishad Hadi Fahan bin Arizal. Mr. Hadi was born in Kota Baru, Kelantan. He went to Malay College Kuala Kangsar, MCKK, during Form 4 and Form 5, and then was sponsored by Petronas to further his studies in the United States. For degree preparation, he studied at Taylor's University Lakeside campus for 1 year, from July 2017 until May 2018. Then he went to the US for a degree in electrical engineering in August 2018. Currently, he's a final year student at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign in the US and will be graduating on 14th of May 2022. Welcome, Mr. Hadi and Mr. Munzar to Tan College UPM. So, with all due respect, I would now like to invite our panel to share their experience throughout the study and their opinions on the cultural diversity they experience in other countries. First, I would like to invite Mr. Munzar. Welcome, Mr. Munzar.
Most welcome. Good evening. Greetings
Good
to
evening,
everyone.
Mr. Munzar.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munzar, for joining us today. Okay, Mr. Musa, can you tell us where are you right now before we proceed? Are you currently in Malaysia or in Jordan?
No, I'm currently in Malaysia. It's precisely in Serdang.
Oh, you are in Sedang too. Okay, thank you, Mr. Musa, for telling us. Hope you are doing well. Okay, Mr. Musa, may I know why do you choose to study in Malaysia? What are the attractions that intrigue you most in Malaysia?
Okay. First of all, I'm honored to be here as a part of this live today. Special thanks to you and Mr. Hadi, and to everyone who prepare or make this live today. I have already selected Malaysia because Malaysia, which has multicultural in terms of three categories of people here. So Malaysia also has if you want to visit any islands or highlands or like that, you can try it. Also, if you want to try maybe many type of foods, you can see from Malay originally and Chinese and Indian. So I'm thankful to choose Malaysia to complete my study or my program.
Yeah, sure. So Malaysia is indeed a multicultural diversity country. We have Malay, Chinese, and Indian, and many ethnicity food, and so they are delicious, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, I love them too.
Sidap or bagus, yeah, sidap or
Yeah,
bagus.
I like that too. Okay, so thank Mr. Musa for telling us. Now I understand. Is it difficult for you to adapt to the life in Malaysia? Because as far as I know, the cultural difference should be big in Malaysia as compared with Jordan. Besides, what are the challenges and issues that you faced as an international student? And how do you overcome them?
Okay. When I came to Malaysia, I faced many challenges, but it's the big one is problem communication with locals. So when I came here at the beginning, it was so difficult to contact or deal with any locals. I mean, out of campus, but inside campus, I can understand the language or the English fluent. Also, hardly find any problem to understand what lecture said or asked. But if I every time if I have everything has two types or two sides. I mean, I have positive side and negative side. So I have already taken a plan for every time I will go through to positive side. So I put it. I have already put it my plan to go through about going to bazaar, also doing some activities inside Malaysia like. If I want to eat, I will go to Mamak to eat food. Also, if I see or find any opportunities to volunteer, I will go directly to help the locals or anybody like special needs or elderly. So this is my role in my life. Actually, I have go through to positive side every time.
I agree with you because we could only find authentic Malaysian food at stores like Mama and Bazaar. And so, can you tell us the difference and similarities of the learning environment between UPM and Yarmouth University?
Okay. Uh, I think each stage has its own characteristics also and features. So if I want to go throwback to my country, I think or I believe that the relationship between students remains stronger or better for graduation students. But here in Malaysia, actually, the education system is very flexible. Also, the availability of service every time if you want to go to need help inside campus, you can see any service or any facilities. Okay, so also the contact with my supervisor or any lecturer, it's too easy to do that. So in my opinion, or finally, the best choice that I have already selected come to Malaysia and study at UBM. You know about the advanced research level in Malaysia is very high. Also, the tuition fees are affordable. So I'm thankful to be here.
Yeah, plus the UPM's campus is beautiful, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we have so much greeneries and trees and rivers and lake. Okay, thank you so much for the answer, Mr. Munza.
Most welcome.
Okay, so now we are going to have Mr. Hadi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. So welcome, Mr. Hadi.
Welcome. Thank you so much, moderator.
Okay. Okay, so before we start, I would like to ask, are you currently in Malaysia or in United States?
Currently, I'm in the United States. I'm currently in the state of Illinois, in my country.
Oh, so what's the time now at your site?
It's 6:40 a.m.
Wow, so early. Okay. Thank you for waking so early. Okay, good to know that, Mr. Hadi. Hope you are doing well. Okay, now the first question to you. Since you are studying abroad in United States, how do you adapt to a new environment with culture different to yours? Besides, in your opinion, what is the culture in the United States that you feel suitable for Malaysians to adopt?
All right. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to the moderator. Thank you to Puan Ainur, who's been contacting me through WhatsApp, and thank you to all the people who makes the event possible. My name is Irsyad Hadi Farhan Rizal, and you can all you guys can call me Hadi. Right. To answer your first question, how do I adapt in a new environment that has different cultures than my usual life? I would say initially, as I would say everyone would experience, whenever you go to a new environment, you would be anxious and stuff like that. But instead of feeling like a bit scared and worry, I try to see that as a new experience in order to improve my perspective on life. Yes, we are. Every human is bound to their country. They were born there. They grew up there. They are helped by their resources in their countries. But that doesn't mean we are not allowed, nor are we prevented from exploring the other side of the world. So I see that more like an adventure. So that's how I was able to at least manage my emotional side. Or because I'm far from home, I go back once, no, every 2 years or something like that. And that could be very like, you can get homesick quickly. But if you see an adventure, it's mostly exciting and fun. And that's how I manage and how I adapt to a new environment. Secondly, you try to find a support system. Here even though in the US itself, my campus has a Malaysian Student Association. And as a fun fact, I'm the current president of the Malaysian Student Association here. So by having a support system, you tend to be able to interact with your countrymen, even though you're far away from home. And to answer your second question, what is the culture in the United States that I feel good for Malaysian to implement? I would say the main thing is mostly on the economic and business side is the fact that if you realize in the United States has this, the citizen, the Americans has this imperative of individualism. It could be perceived as a bad thing, but there is some benefit in there, and the benefit is what we should take. And in my opinion, since they have this individualism perspective, they tend to try to see innovation as a drive to move forward, and that is something that I am really impressed. They never are satisfied with what they have, and they try to push further with the right mindset. That is something that is really beneficial for our country. That is my answer.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Hadi. So I agree with you. The key to success is to move further and further, right? Okay. So the next question. In your opinion, what are the advantages of pursuing higher education in a foreign country? Can you tell us why do you choose to study in a foreign country?
All right. So to answer your question, the first one is what are the advantages of pursuing higher education in a foreign country? I would say like the main emphasis is the fact that you interact with other people, other race, like the ethnicity instead of your own. Yes, in Malaysia we are multicultural. We have Malays, we have Indians, we have Chinese, and we have other races too. 100%. But our in a way, our culture is molded to have the same kind of view of the world, which is good. But like I said from like my previous answer, having more than one perspective is actually really beneficial to you, because the more perspective you have, the more information you have in making decisions. And that is one of the most helpful drive for you to be able to do better in life. You have to make good decisions. So I would say, in order, the best advantage of pursuing higher education is the fact that you are talking to other people, that the people has different perspective because they grew up extremely differently from you, and from there you are able to like input in all these different perspective, because once you study in foreign country, you'll be dealing with people from Asia, people from Europe, people from America, from Brazil, South America, Australia, China, India, Japanese, all these people, and they have different perspective, and that really builds your character. That's the first answer to the first question. And how can I tell why I choose to study my bachelor degree in a foreign country? It's mostly because I want to have different perspective. I want to be able to see the world differently from outside of Malaysia instead from inside. I want to be able to scrutinize my belief and rigorously check whether what I believe stands strong even in the presence of other people's perspective. That's my main reason on why I study. And the other thing is because in US itself, the university that I'm studying in, they have research that I'm really interested in. So that's the other reason why I focus on other countries. That's my answer.
Okay, so thanks, Mr. Hadi. So I agree with you because we have different culture, but we are all Eastern people, so we have very different culture from the Western people, and we are going to adapt or to know their culture. So that's very beneficial to us. So thank you, Mr. Hadi.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we shall go back to Mr. Muntha. Welcome back, Mr. Muntha.
Most welcome.
As you continue your studies in educational technology, can you recommend to our viewers, since most of them are students, what are the suitable learning techniques that they can use during their studies?
Okay, thank you. I think this is a good question. If I want to answer this question, I have to back to in general technology. So if I want to define the technology, you can look at the art or science of any technological tools that can improve academic performance students, or can improve the quality of education in general. So if I want to select any technological tools inside the classroom, you have to check about the academic environment. Academic environment, you have to be ready to use the microphone, laptop, internet signal, projector, like that. So any technological tools used to support the learning of teaching process, I can select the education, the concept of educational technology. So the educational technology is the combination between hardware and software to improve the learning or teaching process. So actually, next week I want to prepare my poster about which applications or tools can be used inside the classrooms. Actually, I recommended, if you want to, you have to prepare academic environment or education technology environment in your classroom, or in your room, or inside the house. So every time you have to prepare, you have to be ready to use education technology. So you have YouTube, or you have to Google search. You have to search which one is the best or appropriate for anybody here. So may depend on the person who can select the appropriate or the best devices. So next week, inshallah, I will prepare the poster for that, to select application or tools to edit, to record audio, or to edit videos, or to paraphrasing anything, or you can select the application to present your presentation. So we have the change is everywhere and anytime. So you have to find the new technological tools.
Yes, I agree with you because technology is very essential in education and it helps a lot. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Hadi. The next question. What motivates you to pursue your studies until PhD level? Can you give us some motivation?
Okay, this is I like this question because many of people ask me this question. So honestly, if you want to get a PhD program, you would like to like research. So If you want to get PhD to become a doctor or a professor, that's wrong. This is wrong reason. So if you I will maybe you can ask yourself some of questions. Do you like to read? Do you like research? Are you okay with that? You want to check if you can get or grasp knowledge, then share it. So I think this is a question. If you want to answer, you have to be be ready to sit many hours or many times inside the library and searching. You can't get the knowledge or the information easily. So you have to be more patient about that. Also, you have to be ready, or you have to be active on the time, maybe around the 24 hours to answer or to get the information. Because if you want to go to contact or discuss with your supervisor, you will be more surprised because your limit of knowledge maybe it will be low. So if you want to contact, you have to be ready. You have to get more knowledge to contact with your supervisor. Finally, if you love academic environment, you can start your PhD program. If you like to research, if you like to be inside the university and like to contact with students and share the knowledge, I think you are on to do that, inshallah.
Yeah, agree with you, Mr. Musa, because some people they indeed just to study PhD because of the title and a glamour. So I think I agree with you because the best motivation is the passion for education and knowledge, the pursuit of knowledge. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Musa, for your advice. Okay, next we shall be back to Mr. Hadi.
Hello.
Welcome back, Mr. Hadi.
Thank you. Proud to be back.
Okay, as I mentioned before, Mr. Hadi is one of the scholarship students sponsored by Petronas. Okay, Mr. Hadi, can you share with us your experience throughout the process? We want to know how you managed to get the sponsorship.
All right. So for the knowledge of the people here, I was the SPM candidate of 2016, meaning that I got my SPM result in March 2017. So I applied for the Petronas scholarship then, which has the deadline of like April, if I'm not mistaken. And basically, I entered. So my academic journey starts with 1 year in Malaysia in Taylor's University and 4 years in the US in the States. So the process itself, how I did the application itself, and it's basically like everyone would know. After every SPM results, I would say season, we will start getting like either through WhatsApp or Facebook or something like that, a list of scholarship links that you can apply to. When it was during my season, I got like 7 links, and having a very like strict mother, she asked me to apply to all, which I'm fine. I don't mind that. So I started with that. So and the application is very like straightforward. You put in your grades, you put in your you make sure you compile every certificate that you have during your high school, and you make it in PDF and submit everything. And that's pretty like all the technical stuff. That's nothing to worry about. So let me see. So and after that, luckily I was called for an interview, and that's mostly where all the work goes to, in my opinion, because everyone can do the first part because it's just quite like straightforward. And once I get to the interview is how I need to be able to manage my composure and how I bring myself. So in short, I'll keep it short. So basically, one of the main things that people ask me, even like no matter how old they are, like even I have a senior who asked me how to prepare for interview in the job scope and job like searching, is the fact that don't be anxious on wondering whether they want you or not as a candidate, because even though your question is legit, it doesn't help you in your like confidence. What how The tip that I actually give people is this: when you are preparing for interview or during your interview, instead of keep asking the question of whether they want you, ask this: whether you want them or not. It's basically changing the power dynamic from them to you to them. And it's not wrong. It's not arrogance, because you as a human being deserve value, and you deserve to ask that question, because you will be working for them. Okay, this is I'm talking about working because of the fact that whenever I am bonded with partners, I'll be working for them too. And it also applies for scholarship. Even though there's no bond, ask whether you want the scholarship or not. Even if the only choice that you have is only one, and obviously you want them because it's quite obvious, do still ask that question, because it gives you the perspective that you have power. And that is really important, because you do have power, and you need to make sure that you have all the resources in order to make yourself more confident. As an example, you could do like this: oh, I have an interview tomorrow. So as preparing during the interview itself, or during waiting for the interview to call me, I ask this: okay, do I want this? Do I want it? And during the interview itself, I keep on asking myself in my heart, basically, do I want this interview? Do they deserve me? Ask that question, because it's basically give you empowerment for you to be able to bring yourself, because everyone has value and everyone deserves to be respected. So that's my main, I would say, key in like striving for all my interviews, to be able to understand that I have the power also inside of them. So that's and having that going through forward, I was accepted, and unfortunately, Alhamdulillah, I was accepted as a Petronas scholar. So that's my answer to your first question.
So I agree with you because confidence is very important, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have heard that during the interview, after the interview, we have to ask questions to the interviewer in order to increase our chance of being success in the interview. So is that actually true? If so, what questions should we ask and what should be avoided?
For me, I like this question, because I like the question that you're asking, because I was contemplating with this myself, because I don't want to be able to not ask question, because it seems as if I'm uninterested, but I don't want to ask too much question or too random of a question, means that I'm trying too hard. So I got a tip from like this is an Instagram post, to be honest, but it's really helpful. It's the fact that first and foremost, the question that you ask is obviously the question that you actually have for the company or the organization. Just ask anything that you are confused or wondering about, just to get it out of your chest. But if you don't have any, which usually happens to like most of the situation, because I've gone to many other interviews also with other companies in the States, is that you ask this: oh, okay, I have one more question, which is from the whole interaction or interview process and how you perceive me, do you see may I know any weakness that you think I could improve on? Those questions is really important, because it gives you the impression that you want to improve yourself always. Because I always, no matter who my interviewer is, I make sure to ask that question. Oh, thank you for your effort and everything, but I have one more question, which is, throughout all the process of the interaction, from how you perceive me, may I know any weakness that I can improve on, because I want to make sure that I'm better in my next future endeavor. From there, the answer might be something that could be really good, like critical. It's kind of scary, but it's not really. Give you more credibility. Uh, the answer from your interviewer might be something that you can actually work on, which is good. Or they would just say, "Oh no, no, I think you did great," and stuff like that. Even for the second answer, it will just basically strengthen their perception on you. No matter how what happens, it's a win-win situation. And the questions that you should avoid is the answer that you don't actually want to know. So don't ask questions the answer that you don't want to know, because people can see that. So don't ask questions that you don't actually want to know the answer to, because it's very obvious. So that's my answer.
Oh, so I agree with you because the question is about because you have the quality of self-reflection, right?
Yes,
You get to know where you got to improve and what are your shortcomings, and yes, the companies they like that. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Hadi.
no problem.
Okay, so we have now done listening to both panels. Please take note that the program password will be displayed again. Okay, so let us move on to the Q&A session. If you have any questions or doubts, please do not hesitate to drop them in the comment section below. Our secretariat will randomly pick yours. So we'll wait for the questions. Oh, okay. So the first question from Noor Hanim. What are the tips on how to balance your studies with other co-curricular activities? So Mr. Muntha, can you please first answering this question?
Yeah, it's okay. So maybe I think this is a good question, because if you want to make a balance, I think you have to put your schedule or your plan daily or monthly. So you know the system, the education system now is online. So feel free to make your plan about that, how to balance, how to put the limit hours for study or for go or for to use any application. So I think depend on any person how to make a plan or how to check about that. So I think in my opinion, if start of years or start of months or any day, you have to check about your plan. This is good important about that.
So thank you, thank you, Mr. Muntha. Mr. Hadi, we would like to hear yours.
Okay, so the tips on how to balance my studies and my co-curricular activities. I guess since you guys are mostly in college and how you did it, because uh, um, I'm I'm not too familiar with the UPM like schedule itself, because if it's closer to the let's say the high school, meaning that you actually go to classes from like 8 a.m. until like 2 a.m. The way you deal with that is differently compared to like US classes, because US classes is like 3 hours a day, and you obviously have a lot of time, but you need to do a lot of self studying. That's a lot of self studying. So having said that, how do I balance my co-curricular activities in high school? Like I said, since I can't really do anything in the morning until 2 p.m., that's basically all my study session. And basically from like after my lunch, I did my further studying because I have the momentum of studying itself. But until like 4, I start doing my co-curricular activities, because that's when usually they have the co-curricular activities. And I do it until like at 6 or 7, depending on whether I want to play sports or not. Because obviously the main thing is our main restriction is time. That's always the problem. And my answer to that is you can't expect to do everything. That is something that you need to understand. You cannot have everything, because we are adults now. You cannot have everything that we want. So you need to make sacrifices. You genuinely care about your studies and your co-curricular activity, you need to understand that you need to sacrifice certain things. It could be some entertainment, it could be some sport stuff that you want to do, and you need to be able to find a balance, because you don't want to go too hard, because sometimes you're going to get burnt out. So having said that, make sure, okay, ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice first and foremost. Once you understand how much you can give, then okay, I can sacrifice it. I can play games for like 1 hour a day. I can do that much. And secondly, okay, how much time you have left after the quiet stuff like classes and stuff like that. I have like 7 hours. How do you want to spend that? Or 2 hours, 3 hours of studying and doing my homework, and 3 hours of co-curricular activities. And that's how I do that. Because in the end of the day, different people have different perspectives, different priorities. My friends need to prioritize their co-curricular activities because they don't really like studying, and which is fine. I don't blame people who doesn't like study, because it's self-dependent. Not everyone enjoys studying, and that is respectful, because you are different, but you have your responsibilities. They don't enjoy studying, but they understand they have responsibilities. So those first people will prioritize like fun more, which is totally fine. But they need to understand that their action have consequences, and if they are okay with the consequences, then do them. But for me, luckily, alhamdulillah, I enjoy studying. So I can, like, for example, in college, like I said, I have 3 hours, 4 hours of classes. I have a lot of time. So I spend like most of my time studying because I just enjoy it. And on top of that, I feel grateful that I'm here. So I don't want to waste my time. So why would I waste my time here, since it's not even easy to get here? So I spend like, I would say, 10 hours a day studying. And my co-curricular activities is mostly like research itself. It's which was kind of like studying research and some engineering organization which I do like projects on. And the other, I spend like weekly, I spend like 4 hours, 5 hours with my friends, and that's it. And that is something that is okay with me, and I would never force it on anyone else because every human is different. Find what you are okay with, but understand every action has consequences. Do not disregard it because some of my friends say, "Oh, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this," but that's who wants to do all that and they don't do anything. That's a bad schedule. Do something that do make a schedule that you are happy with because that's how you want to lead your life. But do understand that you cannot be too lenient because then you will have consequences. So that is my answer to that question.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Hadi. So I agree with you all. Because the main thing is to prioritize your task and you know what you want to pursue in your life. So thank you to you both. So we'll proceed with the next question. Okay, so here's from Intan Africa. Mr. Musa, you are doing PhD in educational technology, right? Can you tell us more about that?
That's okay. About educational technology, as I said about that, this is a combination between hardware and software technological tools, also the practical theories and about theories in general theories. So if I want to talk about that, you have to check the technological tools used to support the learning and teaching process. So depend on the teacher. He will check about the academic environment, academic comfortable environment. So when check about the classroom, I have internet signal, I have projector, I have whiteboard. Also, I have the maybe example application or like presentation. So all these products or tools can improve the quality of education or the quality of the system. So if you want to check which one is the best for teacher and student, because the tools can help students to increase or improve the academic performance student. So I have to check which one I like it, which one can I feel good with it. So depend on the teacher.
Okay, so thanks, Mr. Musa. So I agree with you because education, we need technology from the old times when we just have a whiteboard and teacher, they will have to draw all the diagrams, for example, on the whiteboard. But now we have the computers, right? And we have the projectors. We can use that to display the diagrams, especially the complicated ones on the whiteboard, and it is very time saving. So thank you, Mr. Musa. So we will proceed with the next question. Okay, here's from Aino. Mr. Hadi, I also heard that you also received other award and scholarship. Can you tell us more about that?
All right. Yeah. I guess so. In the college that I'm in, the university that I'm studying now, which is University of Illinois, I received a total of, let's see, 4 awards, I would say, here. And the first one is I would say the most like non-important one, which is I got 7 dean's lists in my 7 semesters here, which is, I would say, that's fine. But there's nothing more than you just make sure that your CGPA is okay. You make sure that you are on top of your toes every semester, and that you make sure that you don't slack too much, because at least in the US, in order to get this list, you need to be top 20% of your cohort, of your batch or your class. And that's, as a scholar, if you're here and you make sure that you understand that it's not easy to be here, you appreciate every second that you have here, it's not that hard to get this list. Because we are like competing with the locals here, the Americans. And the thing is, they are more like lenient, since they don't have the draft that most scholars here have, which is the fact that we feel grateful that we are here. So they tend to take things more lightly. We scholars don't usually do that. So it's not that hard to get the dean's list. And also, since I'm talking about it, I want to point one more thing. Throughout my whole experience here, 100% do not believe that Western is way more smarter than us. I'm not saying that to downgrade them. I'm saying that to improve our confidence. We are as competitive as them, or we could be more. So do not doubt who we are as a race just because our history is not as grand as they are. We have all the potential to be more than them, 100%. Do always believe that. But to answer the question, my other 3 awards is mostly merit and co-curricular activity based. The first one is Claude. It's like a private award which has a bonus of 2000 USD. That's fun. I got like some money with that. So it's based on the fact that I was a third year student and I was top of my like top 10% of my batch. And on top of that, I was involved in electrical engineering research. So they take those into consideration, and from there they choose based on my merit. They choose like out of all my cohort and like give 2 students, and I'm one of them out of like 350 students. And I'm really proud that like I got like top 2 out of 350 students. And the other 2 is also merit based. The second one is more like mostly emphasized on the extracurriculars. It's also because of my research and the fact that I'm a president of like Malaysian Student Association. It's from the university itself. The first one is from my department of electrical engineering. The second one is from the university. Since I'm like involved in other social organization, they say, oh, it's good that you're exposing the students here with Malaysian culture. So they gave, and the fact that I also have good academic merit, they gave me that award. That comes like with 1,500 USD for like they like to give the students money. That's really nice of them. So, and the third one is the latest one, which is related to power engineering, electric power engineering. My latest research is in power. So because of my like contribution and the things that I've done, I got another award, and that's like the thing that I'm most proud of because it comes with like 5,000 USD award price. So that's really nice, and that's also from my department of engineering. And it's a private one because it has a name. It has the name of my professor. So one of not my professor, one of the instructor there. So he's a very veteran professor in the field of power engineering. So the fact that I received that award is really honored. I'm really honored for that.
So I would like to first congratulate you for getting the awards. Besides, I also agree with your points, which is we should not look down upon ourselves because after all, we are all human beings. We are all equal. So thank you, Mr. Hadi. And so we are going to the next question. Okay, so here's from Radwan. What are the tips for new students who intend to study overseas? So the question will be Mr. Hadi first.
All right. So, what are the tips for new students who intend to study overseas? I would say I'm just gonna bring back my old self in the sense that these are the questions that I ask my seniors before I fly to the States. The first thing that you ask is how is the food there? Because I'm a Muslim, I can't eat everything. I need to make sure that I eat only halal food. And unfortunately in the US, it's not as good as the UK because I've been to UK last month and to meet my brother, and the halal food is like there's a lot. There's fast food, halal food, like right and left, like forward. I was living in Manchester at the time, so you don't have to worry about halal food in UK, but in US it's not really like that. If you want to eat, you stay here. The kind of food that you miss is obviously the Malaysian food, like nasi kerabu. I'm from Kelantan, by the way, so I love nasi kerabu and nasi kandar because my parents are from Penang, so I love those. You can't find it here, first and foremost. But you are the surprising thing is you also miss Western food because even though there's a lot of Western food here, you can't eat them because for a Muslim like me, obviously the meat is not halal butchered. So you just see your friends, your like normally a Muslim friend eating like steak and like hamburgers and like these big like quarter pounders, and you just see that you can't eat them. So that is also something that you should be wary. So I asked my senior, "Oh, how is the food there?" And they said that the way I'm currently dealing is the fact that we cook our own food. Don't see it as a downside because that's how you learn to cook Malaysian foods. So the first time I came here, yes, I deal with like halal food from like there are certain halal stores, halal restaurants, and that's fine. But there's like maximum of 5 of them. You get bored since you go to them often. And the way I deal, I eat seafood. If I want to go to non-halal restaurant, I just eat seafood. So that's that. But once I start living in my own house with my friends, because the first year is every student needs to live in a dorm, so you don't have options. You can't cook there. But once you start in my second year, third year, and fourth year, I live in a house with my friends, with my Malaysian friends. So we create a schedule. So then we cook. We basically order the halal meat butchered from like Chicago to our house. Cost us like $300, but it can can last up to 2 months for 4 people. So that's really nice. So we start learning Malaysian food restaurant from Cik Nom, from Aziz Kitchen, if you heard of them. Great, great recipes. So that's how I adapt. And the other tips, that's mostly on lifestyle. The other tips for new students who intend to study overseas is, before you are able to fly there, if you're asking about application wise, make sure you search everything, because I just realized, for example, my younger sister, that there are scholarship that is not really known for uh people of our like it's not like obvious. For example, there are scholarship from Yayasan Khazanah that is intended for people after SPM during in college, which my brother applied and he was able to go to overseas, to UK, for example. And a lot of my friends does that. And there's also other scholarship that it doesn't end with SPM. Don't worry about that. If you are wondering how do I'm past SPM, how do I apply to go overseas? Do find those kind of opportunity scholarship that is not obvious, but you need to search Google most of the time if you are really like interested. Second thing, in every university there are transfer program. If you are really interested, do look into, talk with the professors, ask what are the process, what are the expectation. If I don't meet up to the expectation, what I can do in the meantime so that I can apply again. Do those kind of stuff. And I would say, if you are successful and fortunate, inshallah, you'll be able to fly. Those are my answers.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Hadi. So that's a very interesting idea to create a schedule to cook, and you guys actually learn how to cook Malaysian food. That's a good thing. So Mr. Musa, can we hear from you, your
Yeah,
perspective?
I think there are many things you have to check before choosing the country or university. You have to check about the nature of people or the nature of country. You have to ask yourself, is it appropriate for you or no? If you will be okay, if you will go there or no. So about me, according to my experience, if I went through back before coming here, I checked about the nature of people. Also, I want to check about the university rank, the education system, also the tuition fees I can pay or no. It's like that. So, in my opinion, you have to check. You have to use the educational searching or machines to check about this country. I think Malaysia. When I selected Malaysia, I checked. It's the center, so you can take a long tower. You can visit many islands. You can go to highlands. You can try many cultural foods like that. Also, when I came here, I didn't surprised about anything because I have already background about that. So I think this is a good question, and I want to thank Radwan.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Musa. So I agree with you. The main thing is to get to know your country you are intended to go to, because there'll be a great culture shock if you don't do so, right? Okay, so thank you, Mr. Musa and Mr. Hadi. So we are proceeding to the next question. Okay, so here's from Lim Su Min. Okay, Mr. Musa, we know that you actively participate in voluntary activities. What do you find most useful by joining various volunteer work?
Okay, about my experience in volunteering, I quoted a special quote said, "Make your life, but what you give, not what you get." So you have to be ready to give every time. I have participated in volunteering since 2014. So, by the way, I participated with seven associations. So I think it was a wonderful experience. So about volunteering in general, there are many benefits or advantages about that. So you can problem solving, you can get communication skills, also higher order thinking, also critical thinking about that. So I think you have to you have to be ready, and you have to be active in your social or in your home or in your university. So if you can give, why not? You can give, because after that you can charge your energy like that. So I really I really like this question. Also, in volunteering activities, there are many here in Malaysia. You can help the locals out of campus. Also inside the campus, you can go to international office or any college to help. You can do management works like that. You can go to help anybody in the library, before 1 month flooding. So you can maybe distribute the aids like that. You can help elderly, also special needs or autistic students. So there are many types of volunteering. You can do that. My message is you can participate in volunteering activities, but the first thing you have to select the appropriate or suitable activities for you. So depend on any person.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Muntha. So I agree with you. The best thing about participating in volunteering activities is you get to interact with different peoples, right? You get to know others' living background, others' culture, and you get to interact, you get to get some wisdom, perhaps, from the elderly. So thank you, Mr. Muntha. So we are going to the next question. Okay, so here's from Mahesh. Can you describe your experience in managing projects? What advice will give to future engineers in handling projects? So I think this will be to Mr. Hadi.
All right. So yeah, this is an important question because if you're an engineer, you'll be dealing with a lot of projects, and if you're lucky, or I would say not actually lucky, you will be one of these times be responsible to manage the project itself. And myself, I have experienced multiple project managing, including the current one because I'm working on a like flying taxi. So that was fun. I'm currently working on it. So to answer your question, how do you describe my experience of managing project? First and foremost, and because you are working with people, because usually projects, I'm assuming the project is big, so are you actually working with more than yourself? You need to understand who are you working with, because I would say when you're dealing with projects, that's your main, at least for me, that's my main like like obstacle. The fact that if you don't know who you're dealing with, you don't know their standards of like what is good enough. Because some people, sometimes you work with someone, there are two types of people when you're working. One is when their standard is lower than you, which could happen. The problem with that is the fact that you want you are okay when the stand is higher, so you are aiming high, but they are not contributing enough because they are trying to aim lower, which is that's their standard. In order to deal with that, you need to ask them, can we match our standard and get to a common ground? Because if we don't, it's hard to optimize our work, first and foremost. Secondly, you might meet someone who has higher standards than you, and that's also kind of a problem because you have other priorities, you have other responsibilities. I cannot contribute way too much because I need to be able to deal with my other things. It may be academics, maybe family, so on and so forth. So those people you need to also ask, oh yeah, I can't manage this much, can I do this much and this? And you basically, the main point is to be able to communicate what you are currently perceiving and what your expectation is, when what your other group mates expectation is. Once you are able to like find a common ground, maybe you do more work at certain days, maybe they do more work at certain days, then you can start going in synchrony. So that is the first part if you're working with people. Then we are ask, then I would say more on the technical side. Okay, then once you have all the like people working together as one arrow, how do you tackle the problem itself, the project itself? My main advice is to be able to divide the problem into small milestones. Do always to do that, because whenever we deal with project, it's big, it's scary. Oh, I have this much and this, and as a human, we tend to procrastinate. Totally understand. Everyone does that, including me. So the way you are able to deal with that is divide them into bite-sized chunk. It's not easy to do early on, but try to do your best. It's called systematic division, is what my professor called it. That's a system for programming. You have a very big objective for a program, but programming lines do simple stuff. So how do you translate that to that? You keep making it smaller. Like you divide the objective into two objectives, into 4, 8, 16, 32, 128. By the time it reaches 128 small objective, right? Even one line of code can solve that problem. So that's for programming. And I actually use that same mindset for my any other project, whether it's technical or whether it's social, any kind of problems. Take that big problem, have your answer, have your objective, make small ones, tackle one by one. Put milestone, put check problem, give something for yourself. Okay, what is my if I finish this one small problem, how can I measure that? Because human thrive on progress, not on actually reward, I would say, because everyone gone through the experience of getting a reward. After like 3 days, they are like, man, I'm happy then, but I'm no longer happy. So what I do now? So actually, humans are happy. They gain dopamine, they gain happiness through progress in their life. So by having this small measurements, okay, I was able to do it. Good for me. I'm proud of myself. You're able to keep on moving forward and don't get burnout. So that's the other benefit of dividing your objective. Gives you, it's like a game. Basically, you have a progress bar. Okay, oh, I've done this. Okay, this is really good. I'm proud of myself. Oh, I can't do this. So why can't I do this? Since your problem is small, you can actually like troubleshoot it, debug them. Okay, the reason is this, or this is reasonable. I can deal with this by asking someone's opinion, so on and so forth. And it's also nice because if you need advice, you can go to them by giving them this exact small problem instead of the whole thing. So that's my main tip on how to deal with projects. And what are my advice to give for future engineers on handling project is the same thing. Do understand your teammates, make sure that you are in common ground first and foremost. Secondly, when dealing with problems, because projects are solving problems, make understand what your problems is, understand your objective, make multiple small objectives, and make sure that you are able to measure them. You can't have abstract objectives because if so, you don't know whether you are satisfying them or not. Make sure your objective is concrete, that you can actually solve them. For example, you need to be able to create a design for a small house, like with papers and stuff. Or it's not the most difficult problems, but it's good enough, for example. So I just say, okay, for day one, I want to be able to draw. For day two, I want to show to my supervisor whether this is good enough. Day three, I want to start listing out the stuff. Day four, I'm going to buy the stuff. Day five, I'm going to start building the foundation, so on and so forth. By doing that, you are keep tracking your problems, and by the day 14, you are done. Nothing to worry about. If you don't do that, you'll be wondering, yeah, I can postpone it, until the last day. You have 2 days, you need to do all that. In the end, you can't finish it. So don't do that. So that's my answer. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Hadi. So we tend to be overwhelmed by long tasks, right? We procrastinate more. So the best way is to break them into small chunks, so we can set like small goals, and we'll achieve it faster and more efficiently. So thank you, Mr. Hadi. So we'll proceed to the next question. Okay, so here's from Alif. Can we get some encouragement to continue to adapt with current online learning, as some has feel fatigue dealing with it? So we'd like to hear from Mr. Munza first.
Okay. I will repeat, or I will again talk about everything has a positive side and negative side. So at the present time, technology is one of the reliable modern means. So the future will depend on technology as a rate with more than 90%. So we must deal or face any new technological tools. So with technology, with its positive or negatives or difficult, you have to deal with it. So also you can get many skills if you want to do online learning or to use any technological tools. I mean in general, hardware or software. So you can add the flexibility or self-based learning. So I told before, you have to prepare the academic environment or online environment. So you can feel sometimes bored, but you want to change. You want to change the application. You want to change the hardware. You want to check or search another new apps or any tools. So maybe depend on any student. Each maybe students have the flexibility to create their own schedules and manage the time. So also you can get time management skills after using online learning. Also, learning to work with others in a virtual environment can make you more effective leader. Also, you will develop critical leaders skills. The last thing is critical thinking. I think it's the modern skills you have to learn, or you have to check or searching about that. So I think there are many ways or method to change your mood with online learning. This is my question. This is my answer.
Okay, sir. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Mutha. So the main thing is to find the right method best suit you. So we would like to hear from Mr. Hadi. So what do you think?
All right. So I totally understand this. I'm also currently a student. I'm currently like in college also in New City. So what are the encouragement to continue to adapt with the current online? Yes, there are. Okay, the thing is, as always, you perceive it in two ways. Like Mr. Munta said, the positive side, and we do acknowledge the negative sides. And the positive sides is the fact that for me, at least, I have recordings. At least I'm not sure how UPM does it, but I do have recordings. And the thing is, recording is really helpful because you are able to revise your work by re-listening to what your professor said, like word by word. And you can actually pause them because that's really good because you are able to take notes and stuff like that. But I do understand the fatigue. It might not be to people who does not go through it. It does not make much. It might not make too much sense because if it's asynchronous, it's not live, or if it's live, it doesn't matter. The fact that you don't have to go outside, why is it fatiguing? The answer to that is because it requires more willpower. If you are in class, you tend to not have to use any power to focus, make yourself focus because everyone is focusing. Might as well you focus, right? It's so intuitive, it's so instinctive. But if you're in your room with your laptop and you're in your house, which is the place where you rest and play and relax, and the fact that you're using your laptop where you also watch movies and stuff, and you need to study, it requires a lot of willpower. Initially, I was having that. It's not going to be too bad, but it is tiring. And I do acknowledge that because I'm going through it too, especially regarding the Omicron, the fact that it's not getting any better. So that's that. The way I persuade myself to be able to still be okay with it is this. Every human is kind of like everyone has their own like struggles and obstacles, right? So even though I would say this is a bit of a how would I put this? It's not the most conventional thing, it's the most convenient thing to go through, right? It's not the worst. It's not the worst for me. So compared to what other people is dealing, this is not too bad. The only thing that I need to do is wake up and do that. Having understood that, I would say, okay, it's not that bad. Yes, it's not convenient, but it's not that bad. I can do this. And I basically teach myself the fact that I'm now be able to use like technology like a Zoom meeting and stuff like that. Because before this, 100%, if someone asked me, oh, please set up a video call, I know nothing. I can't do any of that. But now that I've gone through like a lot of Zoom meeting, I know how to use Zoom. I know how to use Microsoft Teams. I know how to use, that's one more, Google Classroom. So I'm able to do that. I'm able to, if I have something, I want to discuss with my friends, I want to discuss a project. Instead of going outside, even we can do that now. We don't have to. Okay, we want to do it quickly, emergency. I can set up my Zoom meeting, send the links, done. So I learn, even though there's some silver lining in the process, we advance. Human advances through problems. That's kind of obvious. And our problem right now is COVID. We can't interact with people. We need to do things online. But we can learn and improve ourselves better. So that's how I keep on encouraging myself. Oh, Hadi, even though you are going through inconvenient times, at least you learn how to use the resources that you have, online resources, this and that. You tend to be able to teach yourself how to focus more, because in the future, sometimes you are working with computers. So you need to be able to have that willpower to not just switch on YouTube and go entertainment. You need to do work. By having that training now, you are able to make sure that in the future you will do better. So in short, the way I encourage myself is to teach, to persuade myself that there are benefits. Even though it's hard to see, there are benefits, and you'll be okay. So that's how I encourage myself to adapt to the online learning.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Hadi. So yes, the environment tend to be too comfortable to us when, especially in our bedroom or living room, and yeah, the
Can I,
best way.
can I add something
Yes, sure.
about this question? If you look at the educational process, it consists of four elements: teachers, students, environment, also the content. So, in online learning side, the student have a control because he is the leader, he is the teacher, he is the student. So you have to know about the content, you have to check about the environment. After that, you can search about the knowledge or information. So I think an online learning has many positive sides or benefits or advantages. So just you can do it. Is it okay? You can make your academic environment. After that, you can find the information or knowledge.
Yes, so there were benefits too in this kind of learning environment. Besides, I think that the involvement of technology more into the education is also one of the benefits of learning online, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, so thank you. So we are going to the next question. Okay, so here's from City. So to Mr. Muntha, what are the things that you like about Malaysia?
About Malaysia, according to my experience, I like many things here. Actually, in Malaysia, I like food. I like sweets like butu piring, if you know that. Also, I like there are many fruits you can eat during the four season. So also you can maybe you can take long tower from east to south. You can go to islands, many islands there. Here also there are highlands, or you can go to camping or hiking. Also there are all the village is forest. So you can take you can change your mood. You can feel more relaxed here in Malaysia. Also you can see many foreign here also. You can see that you know three categories of Malaysia here is Chinese, also Malay, Indian. So in one day you can see many cultures, many traditional people. So I like it a lot. I like it. I really like it, to live here or to study here. Also, if you want to ask me this question, do you like Malaysia? Of course. Also, when maybe after finish, when I will back, I will be more comfortable. Inshallah, I will get the good experience from Malaysia, and I can share it in my country, inshallah.
Okay, Mr. Muntha, may I ask one thing? Is that have you been to Penang, Penang
No,
Island?
no, unfortunately, I
Uh,
have planned for that, but I went to Malacca, Genting, Cameroon, Langkawi, Kuantan. Also, I visited, of course, Cyberjaya, Putrajaya, KL, Kajang, Shiraz. I know many
I
districts or
see.
cities here. So my plan is long. I can do that, inshallah. I have 2 years to finish it, inshallah.
Yeah, you should go to Penang. It's really nice.
yes,
My
Inshallah.
that's my
hometown,
favorite
I
place.
love it, and the food is amazing. The food is really.
Yes, and come to Ipoh too. That's my hometown. Hope you like it. Okay, so
Inshallah.
next, proceed to the next question. Okay, it's from Huda. What are some of the benefits you get in relation to cultural diversity when living in a new country? For example, such as new experiences or new knowledge. Shall we start with Mr. Hadi first?
All right. Yeah. So to answer the question, benefits that we get in relation to cultural diversity when living in a new country and new experience and knowledge, I would say goes back to my previous answer during the sharing session, is the fact that 100% people here has different perspective, and the way they view stuff is, like, I would say different in the sense that I obviously their culture, their priorities is different, and it's really interesting because I tend to talk a lot, especially with my like friends and like my peers, right? So and we discuss certain like very deep things, and some people might say even controversial, which with the condition that everyone is comfortable because we don't want to create problems, right? So if my friends are gonna, we talk with like all mirage of questions and topics. And the thing is, I start to realize that their perception, I guess it makes sense that every from the perspective, because living in, okay, I'm currently studying in the United States, and one of the topics that I touch about is mostly their military, and with the condition that they're okay with it, because they have really their military like branch is throughout the world, and I asked what are your opinions on that, because they spend way too much on their military. Even if Malaysians spend that much, I would question why are you spending too much on this? And their citizen like if like 50% don't agree with that. Like they don't like the fact that the military spending is way too much, because they are still way more things that you could do inside the country while spending outside. That is really surprising, because from Malaysia we perceive that Western has this mindset, but the thing is they are not the same. The government does not represent the people, which is kind of like sad. It happens for Malaysian too. The government does not represent the people's thoughts, because what decides what they do with their money is at the higher ups, at the Senate and Congress. But the common people, they just basically want better healthcare, and they didn't get that. But that's like 50% of the citizen. The other 50 might say, oh, we need this because we want to be the we don't want to let like countries like they have a beef with China, for example. They don't want like China to be better than them or something like that. That are because if we don't have military power, then other people will not be wary of them, so on and so forth. Those are the other side of the spectrum of the country. And even in their own country, they don't agree with each other, which is like I didn't have this perception, because from Malaysia, when we do the karangan thing, we do the essay thing. One of the things that we tend to use, which I don't really agree now, is the fact that or the Western societies, we use that as an example of it as being actually a bad thing, which I think that's kind of rude. Because what happened if people there use that for Malaysia? That's not a really good thing, right? So I tend not to use that anymore, because especially because I'm here. My friends are really nice. They are locals. They're smart people. They have their own perception. Yes, they have their bad side, but they also have their good side. So those are the things that I learn when I'm here. So those are the benefits that I learn from the different cultural diversity when I live in a new country. My perspective is changed. My mindset is changed, my views of them are changed, and my views of myself and my country are changed. And in the end, that made me a better person. I'm able to talk more maturely. I'm be able to be more open-minded. I tend to let I tend to talk less in absoluteness, because I'm not sure whether I'm correct. I tend to be more open to other people's suggestion, because I could be very well wrong. But I also learn to hold strong to what I believe, because we don't want to be swayed whenever there's a new opinion, because if so, we don't have a stand at all. So you tend to be able to create a better, how would I say this, a better character, a better perspective of the world. You tend to sound more confident, because you know more. And whenever someone talks to you, or you have perceived this more, okay, I've interacted with this kind of person, so this is nothing new. So those are really, I would say, those are really beneficial for you as a human being. Those are what I benefit from living in another country, whether it is in new experience or in new knowledge. So that's my answer.
Okay, so thanks, Mr. Hadi. So the most important thing is to not to be prejudiced against other. We have to be open-minded to one another. So we'd like to hear from Mr. Muntha. What's your view?
First of all, I want to give some brief about the cultural diversity. We must address culture as a concept, which means a set of knowledge or characteristics related to certain people. So when I want to talk about the culture, I want to look at the certain people or categories or set of people. So if I want to talk about cultural diversity, is cultural differences. So if you want in terms of languages or cooking or food or traditional habits or dress. So according to my experience in Malaysia, if I want to go to Malay or originally Malay, you want to check about how to eat, how to dress, how to start your day. If you want to go to my supervisor, I have to take off my shoes out of office. If I want to look at the Chinese people, how to eat by chopsticks, maybe. If I want to look at Indian people, now I can eat spicy food. Alhamdulillah, I did it. Alhamdulillah. Also, the benefits. There are many benefits here. How to eat, how to start your days, how to schedule your day. So I noticed that Malaysian people in general, they get up early. I don't know why. I have to wake up early, maybe at 6 or 5 or 7, and work at till 7 or 8 p.m. So it's long time. But when I checked about the schedule, they have lunch time for 2 hours. I think this is good to recharge or get more energy. So about the cultural diversity, I think there are many here. There are three categories, so you can see many things about Malaysia, about food or traditional customs or social customs or language or the celebrities like that. So I hope I answered this question.
Okay, sure, Mr. Musa. Yes, the most important thing is to check on the rules, the culture of the others, so we wouldn't be mistaken. So we will have our last question. Let us proceed to it. Okay, so from Muhammad Muaz, what's your philosophy of life for both panels? Start with Mr. Hadi first.
All right. I love this question. This is okay. Okay. The reason is because I'm quite a philosophical guy. If you realize from all my answers, and this is something that I wrote down for my, because I'm also applying for masters and PhD for my university, and in my letter of statement, I wrote about my philosophy of life, and the short answer is gamification and adventure. That's basically the hook of the essay. What does that mean? It basically means this. When I was young, when I'm still young, when I was younger, when I was 14, 15, I used to play, I would say from the age of 10 until the age of 15, I used to play a lot of like PS2 games, PlayStation games. And the games that I play are not a typical. There are two types of games, that video games that people play. One is competitive gaming, like Dota, like PUBG, like you compete with other people. One is more like role playing game. You play story games. You build your character, you improve, you increase level, invest in the skills, so on and so forth. I'm the second type of gamer. I don't compete with people because I'm too competitive. I tend to get like a bit upset if I lose. So I don't. It's not really bad. Efficient for me too, because I want to play games to relax, not to like make myself like more stressed. So I tend to play the second type of games, and I play a lot of games. I've spent like 10 hours. Back in my younger days, I can do that because I have less responsibilities. So I spent like 10 hours a day playing games, and it was fun. And as I grew older, I understand that I can't do this always because it's such a time sink. It kind of saddened me in the first place, but I don't really have any other alternative until I realized the reason why I like playing. I'm gonna call it RPG games, so called role playing games, RPG games. The reason why I like to play that is because I feel like I'm able to control stuff. I feel that I have power because I'm able to build my character, able to like invest in this skill. It's so and also on top of that, the more immersive the game, the better because it feels real. Then I start to ask myself, since you like to play this game, isn't there's another game that is more real than that is more immersive than that is more realistic than that, and that game is called life? Why don't you invest in that game? How about you spend 10 hours in that? So having that perception kind of changed my like view of life. Like, holy, this is really nice, because then I'm feeling like I'm grinding whenever something is hard, because studying is hard. It's tiring, even for me, even for everyone. It's tiring. But I see that as grinding level, because grinding are boring. It's repetitive, it's so on and so forth. But so is studying. When I go to new places, it's scary. You get worried whether I'm gonna be okay. Can I adapt? But when you play games, whenever you go to places, you get excited. Oh, I'm gonna meet new people. Oh, new sceneries. It's fun. New people to interact. New culture, so on and so forth. It's the same in real life. You go to another country, meet new people, meet new friends. Every human that you interact has their own stories, so it's interesting to get to know them. So that's the gamification part. and mostly that's more on the like gamification and partly adventure part, because I tend to adventure and explore, because I tend to see the world as a huge virtual reality where I'm like the main character, and it happens to everyone. Everyone is the main character of their own story. So I'm like playing game where myself, I'm improving myself. Or if I want to invest in this new skill, I want to be able to code a game. I invest on those. I want to be able to be better in electrical engineering. I spend time on those. I want to play this new sport. I start, and it's the good thing is you are okay with being bad at it initially, because the thing with learning a new experience is gonna be bad at it at first, and at games you are okay with it. But why can't you be okay with it in real life? It's okay if people make fun of you in the first place, because you're learning. Nothing to be ashamed about. You'll be okay in a month. Don't worry about it. So that's how I perceive, and it helps me a lot. And that's my main current philosophy in life. The other gamification part is the thing that I already touched about, which is progress, because one of the things that is people the reason why I'm really not like the reason why I keep on playing is because I can see my progress explicitly. Or I'm at level 1, I'm at level 2, and at level 2 I can see the progress by moving. Or I've done this and this and this. I just need this amount of XP to move forward. And the same happens. I kind of like partition my life into 2 chapters, and the chapter is based on my age. Currently, I'm 20. Malaysian age, I'm 23. So I'm at chapter 23. So at chapter 20, I'm like in subsection, January, subsection 1. I have 11 subsection left to go. And I can see the progress based on my achievements. And that's really, really fun. So, like I said, my philosophy is gamification and adventure. And it has helped me like move forward in life way better, and I enjoy it way more. So that's my philosophy.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Hadi. Yes, that's a novel perception on the world, how you view it. So you are always ready to take challenges. So we are going to hear from Mr. Muntha. What do you think?
In my opinion, or my rule about my life. So I want to check anything happened with you. I told it has positive side and negative side. Don't look at the negative side. Every time look at the positive side. So, in our life, there is a stage. There are a stage. So you have to look at the stage, how to finish it, how to start it, how to do. You have to evaluate any stage in your life. So every time you have to look at the your stages or your step to do anything. Now I'm doing a PhD program. So after that, when I will back to my country, I have already gotten the knowledge, the information. I have already gotten the certificate. Is it okay? So my experience, it was very good. It's very perfect. So you have to look out about your schedule, your goals. Like a PhD program, the purpose of the PhD program is to finish it. So after finishing, you have to evaluate, you have to check, you have to ask yourself, is it okay? I have already done with perfect result or perfect recommendation or any comments. That maybe they will give you the energy to do the next stage. So every time go to positive side. Every time look at any experience that will happen or happened with you in your life. You have to go through to positive side.
Okay, so thanks to Mr. Muntha. Yes, indeed, have a positive view of your life and always ready to take new challenges, because failure is not the end of the world. Okay, so there's a message for our panel. Shall we display it? So it's from Basim Muhammad Al Kusari. So hello, Muntha. Great meeting. I don't have a question, but I would like to tell my brother that I miss you and my family is watching, and I'm so happy for you. So that's from Mr. Muntha.
Yeah, this is my brother actually. I want to say hi, salam alaikum to my family. Also, I'm missing you. Thank you about this message. Inshallah, I will see you after 1 month or 2 months. Inshallah. Inshallah.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Muntha and Mr. Hadi, for answering the questions. So, now, ladies and gentlemen, before we bring this virtual ceremony to an end, I would like to deliver a bouquet of appreciation to the honorable guests who have attended today's ceremony. So thank you very much to Mr. Hadi and Mr. Muntha and everyone here for joining this webinar, and thank you for making today's event meaningful. Okay, so before the event ends, I would like to remind all participants to get ready to scan the QR code. And please fill out the Google form for attendance, demerit, and evaluation purposes. And don't forget about the password. With that, I'm signing off as today's moderator. Stay safe and healthy till we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.